Welcome to this PATA podcast, which is designed to give you a flavour of the quality of information contained in our tourism forecast report for 2009 through 2011. This annual report has proved over many years to be an invaluable publication for our public and private sector organisations. Indeed, it is widely accepted as one of the most authoritative and accurate reports of its kind. With the travel and tourism sectors now facing unprecedented economic challenges, the pressure remains on industry leaders, planners and analysts to reshape business plans in line with this extremely turbulent financial climate. Once again, PATA has engaged two distinguished academics, Professor Lindsay Turner and Professor Stephen Witt, to forecast trends, market share and visitor arrivals for more than 40 destinations across the Asia-Pacific region over the next 3 years. Quite simply, the PATA Tourism Forecast is a must-read reference for national tourism organisations, airlines, tour operators, hoteliers and travel agents, indeed every element of the public and private sector. It is also an excellent example of very high quality of information provided by the Pacific Asia Travel Association to its members and the wider industry community. Thank you for watching this podcast, and please check out the PATA website for details about how to order the full report online.
Welcome to this PATA podcast, where we will examine our latest predictions for the travel and tourism industry across the Asia-Pacific region. My name is John Koldowski, and I am the Director of PATA's Strategic Intelligence Centre, the unit which tracks and monitors changes in travel behaviour across the globe for the PATA membership. For almost a decade now, we have been working with two eminent scholars in the field of tourism forecasting, Professor Lindsay Turner of Victoria University in Australia and Professor Stephen Witt from the Hong Kong Polytechnic University. Using a proprietary econometric model developed by Professors Turner and Witt, the CITIA model, we have had the opportunity to continuously test and refine our forecasting capabilities across a number of unusual situations, including acts of terrorism, an outbreak of SARS, the tsunami of December 2004, the possibility of an avian flu pandemic, and any number of socio-political changes across the Asia-Pacific region. So what are we predicting for 2009 and beyond? The blue bars in this chart show the year-on-year growth in international arrivals to the Asia-Pacific region between 2002 and 2007. The yellow bars show what we are predicting for the next 3 years for an average annual gain of around 4.2% per annum between 2007 and 2011. Please note that 2007 is the base year from which these forecasts are extrapolated. So the jump from the actual results to the forecasts moves from 2007 to 2009, with an average expected gain of 3.5% per annum over those 2 years. On average then, we expect an increase of around 4.2% each year between 2007 and 2011. Obviously, in some years, growth could be above that level, while in others it could fall below it. The average, however, is expected to be around that 4.2% mark. There is, of course, substantial variation in these growth rates from sub-region to sub-region and destination to destination. In the case of the Americas, for example, we see that Chile has the strongest growth forecast to 2011, some 7.11% per annum. And that will result in something like an additional 792,000 arrivals by the end of 2011 from the current 2007 base of 2.5 million. The USA, on the other hand, has a slightly lower average growth rate of 5.48%. But because of the sheer volume of arrivals, more than 48 million in 2007 in fact, that is expected to generate an additional 11.5 million arrivals by the end of the forecast period. The sub-region itself, which is made up of these 4 destinations, is expected to grow by an average of around 4.26% per annum to 2011. In Northeast Asia, Mongolia and Macau are expected to grow at double-digit rates over the forecast period, with the latter benefiting from not only a strong growth rate, but also a significant volume base to begin with. More than 13.7 million additional international visitors are expected to arrive in Macau by 2011. The People's Republic of China, with a growth rate of less than 2% per annum, is still expected to gain in excess of 9 million additional arrivals by 2011 by virtue of the same significantly large volume base in 2007. The destinations that constitute South Asia are, in aggregate, expected to see growth of more than 5% per annum. Only Sri Lanka is forecast to reduce its arrivals count over this period to 2011. Southeast Asia sees 4 destinations performing above the sub-regional average of 5.38%, with the 2 recently emerging tourism destinations of Cambodia and the People's Democratic Republic of Laos leading the charge with average gains of almost 9% per annum each. This is off a relatively small numeric base, however, so the actual visitor gains are dwarfed by those made by the likes of Malaysia, Thailand and Indonesia. Myanmar is expected to continue to lose international arrivals over this forecast period. Papua New Guinea is expected to continue with its very strong growth performance over the next 3 years, as are a number of Pacific Island nations. Unfortunately, the volume destinations of Australia and New Zealand will see only weak growth on current predictions, and this will keep the sub-regional average to a modest 3% or less. The real interest for many, however, lies in knowing which source markets will drive the strongest growth to 2011, for herein lies opportunity at a time when it will be most needed. Once again, it is essential to consider growth rates and volume gains. Arrivals from the Middle East, for example, are expected to show the fastest growth rates to 2011, but as the current volume base is still less than 2 million, that will translate into little more than 500,000 additional arrivals by the end of the forecast period. Asia, the Americas and Europe will still provide the largest absolute number of additional arrivals to 2011, despite their relatively slow growth rates. Out of the Americas, it will come as no surprise perhaps that North America will still provide the largest number of additional arrivals, despite the relatively soft growth rate. But keep an eye on South America. With an average growth rate of between 8 and 9% per annum, this sub-region is set to provide upwards of 1.7 million additional arrivals to Asia-Pacific destinations over the next few years. Similarly, out of Europe, where the source markets of Western Europe will continue to dominate the arrivals count, but where some markets in the old Eastern Europe bloc are now showing signs of outbound growth potential. More than 2 million additional arrivals from these markets are predicted by the end of 2011. No real surprises out of Asia, except perhaps that the emerging markets of Central Asia, inasmuch as we can track them at the moment, are expected to decline over the forecast period. Northeast Asia remains the dominant source of arrivals. However, it must be remembered that much of this traffic will be flows between each of the People's Republic of China and the 2 SARs of Hong Kong and Macau. Much, but not all. In summary, the period to 2011 is set to produce a very mixed bag of results, with significant variations across Asia-Pacific destinations as they both receive and generate international travellers. The results are expected to remain largely positive. However, the strong growth rates of the last few years will now be the exception rather than the rule. There are opportunities, but they are not easily found. And when they are, everyone will swoop, so it will pay to be first. Hopefully, the Pata forecasts will help you get to the front of the pack. If you want to know more about these forecasts, please drop us a line at this email address. We will be happy to provide you with more details. Thank you.